Vincent found the purple bacon cooked just like he wanted it. The eggs did weird him out a little since they had blue yolks, but he got over it pretty quickly and ate the first meal he'd cooked himself in ages. Once he had finished cleaning up his skillet and plate, he walked back into his bedroom and opened up the armory. He heard Kavizor come on over the screen inside. Creature 88. Why are you in the armory? I don't have you scheduled for a patrol. It's likely the council will want to talk to you. I'm not just used for patrol, you know. I'm technically a detective. And it's about time I did some preemptive work. You know where I am at all times anyway, right? When they want to talk to me, just send a patrol craft. He was pulling on a patrol harness as he spoke, unsure just what he would need but wanting to be prepared. The situation isn't exactly great right now, Creature 88. Yes, I'm well aware, and we need to start taking steps to get ahead of the fuckers behind all this, don't we? If all we do is react, then we'll be too far behind to stop them. He spun the cylinder on his magnum before holstering it. So I'm going to do something about that. Kavizor was quiet as he thought it over for a moment. All right. I'll keep note of your position. Try not to die. Vincent arched a brow at the sentiment until Kavizor ruined it. The time delay to wake you up would be annoying. Glad to know you care, man. Vincent muttered as he pulled on his mask and synced it up with the tracking beacon that Kavizor was undoubtedly already tapping into. He activated the portal pad in the corner of his armory and then walked through as the portal swirled around him before solidifying into a street. The usual dirty alley he used to port into. He quickly checked his surroundings, seeing a few shadowy forms moving around in the dark. He'd have to be careful with the new mission given to him by Kavizor. He hadn't been able to make out what the other human was talking about, but it sounded important. Something about a black box, a dead woman named Catherine, and a man named Brian. He didn't have much time to think before a Servian slasher jumped out at him, its bladed arms cutting through the air. Vincent reacted quickly, firing his magnum and hitting the creature in the chest. It roared in pain and fell to the ground. Vincent realized he wasn't a Servian slasher. He was a Servian tinkerer, the subspecies that had much smaller bladed arms, but also a set of long arms with normal hands. The Servian tried to get up, but cried in pain as his shoulder didn't seem to work. When he saw Vincent getting closer, his good arm quickly stuffed something in his mouth, and then his body began to kick and twitch. By the time Vincent reached the surgeon, the Xeno was dead. Poison pill of some sort. A weak whisper came from a Yervesh nearby. Please, the IV, before it activates. He had incision marks along his chest, but it appeared to have been stitched up. However, he was looking at an IV leading to a bag of black blood. It was on some sort of timer. Vincent quickly ripped the IV out, hearing the Yervesh gasp in pain and then pant. Thank you. He set his head back and passed out as Vincent tried to figure out just what the hell he'd stumbled across. Squad Lead 242. Do you copy? The reply was a burst of heavy static and some words he couldn't make out, so he turned to Squad Lead 241. Get the other hostages upstairs and make sure the building is secure. Then get a medical team here immediately. The Yervesh nodded, and the commandos rushed out, leaving Vincent in the freezer with the 3 Yervesh strapped to the operating tables. Picking up the recording device, he looked from it down to the dead Servian who'd committed suicide rather than be taken prisoner. What the hell were you up to? Vincent took out his tablet and scanned the device the dead Servian had dropped. It seemed to be some sort of recording device. He played it back, hearing a cold, guttural voice speaking in an unknown language. It sounded like an interrogation. He then took out another device and scanned the dead Servian, trying to get any biometric data. But it was heavily scarred, almost like they had tried to erase his identity. His mind felt a strong wave of emotions, a rush of fear and confusion. He looked around. Who are you talking to? Creature 88. Kavizor's voice came over his comm. No one. Vincent muttered, looking at the door that opened onto the corridor. He heard the faint sounds of shouting, and then a strange, wet thud. He quickly grabbed his magnum and held it ready. I think we have company. A large, hulking figure stepped into the doorway. It was a Servian slasher, much larger than the Tinkerer. With massive bladed arms and glowing red eyes, it roared, a guttural sound that vibrated through the freezer, and charged at Vincent. Vincent fired, hitting the slasher in the chest. The creature roared in pain, but kept coming, its bladed arms cutting through the air. Vincent dodged, rolling to the side as the slasher's blades sliced through the metal table where one of the Yervesh was still strapped. The table groaned, bending under the impact. He fired again, aiming for the head. The slasher roared again, its head snapping back. But the bullet seemed to have little effect. This one was different. Stronger. It was almost as if it was enhanced. Vincent realized that the Servian Tinkerer wasn't alone. This slasher was here with him. This is not a regular slasher, Vincent said into his comm, dodging another swing. It's enhanced. It's not stopping. Enhanced? Kavizor's voice was sharp with concern. What do you mean? I mean, it's taking too many hits. Its movements are too fast. It's like it's been genetically altered. Vincent fired another shot, this time aiming for the leg. The slasher stumbled, giving Vincent a brief window of opportunity. He moved quickly, rushing past the creature and grabbing a medical kit from the wall. He needed to help the unconscious Yervesh. The slasher recovered quickly, turning to face Vincent. It roared again, its red eyes glowing with predatory intent. Vincent knew he couldn't fight it head-on. He needed a strategy. He looked around the freezer, his eyes scanning for anything he could use. His gaze fell on a large, heavy door at the back of the room, leading to what looked like another storage area. It was a risk, but it was his only option. Kavizor, I'm going to try and lead it away, Vincent said, pulling out a stun grenade. I need you to prepare a lockdown on this section, seal it off, and get a containment team ready. Understood. Be careful. Creature 88, Kavizor replied, his voice grim. Vincent tossed the stun grenade. It detonated with a blinding flash and a deafening bang, momentarily disorienting the slasher. Vincent took the opportunity. Darting towards the back door, he fumbled with the latch, his heart pounding in his chest, and finally managed to open it. He slipped through, the slasher roaring in frustration behind him, and quickly slammed the door shut, locking it from the inside. He found himself in a cramped, dark storage room, filled with medical supplies and strange, alien equipment. He quickly scanned the room, his eyes adjusting to the dim light. He then heard the slasher begin to pound on the door he'd just closed, the metal groaning under the impact. Vincent quickly moved to the other end of the storage room, looking for another exit. He found a small, reinforced vent near the ceiling. It was too small for the slasher, but perhaps he could squeeze through. He pulled out his multi-tool and began to pry open the vent cover. The slasher outside intensified its assault on the door, cracks appearing in the metal. Vincent worked frantically, knowing he had limited time. Finally, the vent cover came loose. He quickly squeezed through, emerging into a narrow, dark shaft. He heard the door burst open behind him, followed by the slasher's frustrated roar. He moved quickly through the ventilation shaft, its metallic surfaces cold against his skin. He could hear the slasher stomping around in the room below, its roars echoing through the vents. Vincent knew he had to get out of the building and find out what was going on. He had a feeling that the Servian Tinkerer, the Yervesh, and the enhanced slasher were all connected to a much larger plot. After a few minutes of crawling, he found an exit vent, leading into what looked like a deserted office. He carefully pushed open the grate and dropped silently to the floor. The office was dimly lit, rows of empty desks stretching into the darkness. He moved cautiously, making his way towards the main corridor. He heard distant sirens and the sounds of enforcer activity. It seemed Kavizor had dispatched a team. This was good. He wasn't alone anymore. But he still needed answers. He still needed to understand what the Wardens were truly up to, and why they were experimenting on these aliens. As he reached the main corridor, he saw Enforcer commandos swarming the area, securing the building. Mock was there, directing the teams, his large form a reassuring presence. "Vincent, are you all right?" Mac's voice boomed as he spotted him. Vincent nodded. "I'm fine. The slasher is contained in the freezer, but there's more. These experiments, they're enhancing them. And the Tinkerer. He took a poison pill. They're covering their tracks." Mac's expression hardened. "Enhanced? This changes things. We need to find out who is behind this." "I think I know," Vincent said, holding up the recording device he'd taken from the dead Servian. "This might have answers. But I need to analyze it, and I need to talk to that Yervesh we saved." Mock nodded, his large hand resting on Vincent's shoulder. "We'll get you back to the analysis lab. Xylan will want to see this immediately." This enhancement suggests a new level of Warden sophistication. As they made their way through the now secured building, Vincent's mind raced. The Servian Tinkerer's desperate suicide, the enhanced slasher, and the Yervesh strapped to operating tables with black blood IVs. It all painted a grim picture. The Wardens weren't just about psychological manipulation anymore. They were actively experimenting, creating something new and dangerous. Back at the analysis lab, Vincent quickly connected the recording device to the Enforcer's advanced systems. The guttural language was instantly identified as an ancient Servian dialect, rarely spoken now. The Enforcer's translation AI, after a few moments of processing, began to interpret the dialogue. The recording revealed a chilling interrogation. A cold, detached voice, identified as a high-ranking Warden operative, was questioning the Servian Tinkerer. The Tinkerer, clearly in immense pain, was resisting, but the Warden operative was relentless, demanding information about a specific location and a prototype. The most disturbing part was the Tinkerer's screams as the Warden operative mentioned the procedure and improving performance. They were trying to extract information about something, then enhance him, Vincent summarized, his voice grim as the translation concluded. And the Yervesh, they were the victims of similar experiments. The black blood in the IVs, it's a growth accelerant, or a genetic modifier. They're trying to create super soldiers. Faster, stronger, more resilient. Mock listened, his expression hardening with each new piece of information. This is beyond anything we've encountered before. The Wardens are escalating. They're not just whispering discord. They're manufacturing threats. Xylan was immediately briefed. He listened to the recording, his ancient eyes darkening with a cold fury. The audacity to defile sentient life in such a manner. This is a direct violation of galactic accords. He turned to Vincent. Your insights are crucial. Vincent, we need to identify the facility where these experiments are taking place, and we need to find out what this prototype is. Vincent nodded, a fierce determination burning in his eyes. I'll go over every piece of data, every anomaly. I'll find their lab, and I'll find out what they're building. He returned to his analytical work with renewed vigor. He cross-referenced the ancient Servian dialect used in the recording with historical Warden communications, searching for any linguistic patterns or unique phrases that might pinpoint their origins or hideouts. He also analyzed the unique genetic markers found in the enhanced slasher's blood, trying to trace the specific modifications and the source of the biological agents. Days turned into nights as Vincent delved deeper. Fueled by nutrient paste and the unwavering support of Mock, he found subtle energy signatures, faint heat traces, and unique chemical byproducts embedded in the captured Tinkerer's data that pointed to a facility hidden deep within a remote, uncharted asteroid field. It was an old mining complex, long abandoned, but now repurposed for something far more sinister. "I found it," Vincent announced one morning, his voice hoarse from lack of sleep but vibrating with triumph. He displayed a holographic map, highlighting the asteroid field. "This is where they're doing it. The energy signatures match the enhancements. It's a massive, self-sustaining complex designed for secrecy." Xylan immediately dispatched a heavily armed enforcer fleet, led by Mach, to the asteroid field. Vincent insisted on accompanying them. His unique abilities would be invaluable in navigating the complex's defenses and locating the prototype. The journey was swift. As they approached the asteroid field, the fleet encountered a series of automated Warden defense drones, easily dispatched by the enforcer ships. But Vincent sensed something else. A subtle tremor of fear, a ripple of controlled aggression emanating from within the asteroid, indicating a large number of enhanced Servian slashers. "They're waiting for us," Vincent warned over the comms. "They know we're coming, and they have a lot of enhanced units inside." Mach nodded grimly. "As expected, prepare for a fierce resistance. Our objective is to secure the facility, neutralize the threat, and retrieve any information on the prototype." The enforcer ships breached the complex's outer defenses, and the ground teams, with Vincent and Mach at the forefront, stormed the facility. The battle was intense. Enhanced Servian slashers, moving with unnatural speed and strength, attacked them in waves, their bladed arms cutting through enforcer armor. Vincent used his abilities, not just to detect the slashers, but to anticipate their movements. Sensing their surges of aggression and their moments of hesitation, he moved like a shadow, taking down multiple slashers with precise magnum shots and well-aimed stun blasts. Mach, a whirlwind of combat prowess, protected Vincent, his massive form deflecting blows and delivering crushing counterattacks. They fought their way through corridors filled with experimental labs, holding cells for alien test subjects, and storage areas packed with grotesque biological equipment. The air was thick with the metallic scent of blood and the acrid smell of burnt ozone. Vincent and Mach fought their way deeper into the Warden complex, the sounds of battle echoing through the labyrinthine corridors. They moved with coordinated precision, Mach's brute strength complementing Vincent's tactical insight and empathic awareness. Vincent continually relayed real-time data to the Enforcer Command, pinpointing pockets of enhanced resistance and guiding their forces through the treacherous facility. They finally reached the heart of the complex, a massive, reinforced chamber humming with an ominous energy. The air inside crackled, thick with a palpable sense of dread and an overwhelming feeling of controlled aggression. This was where the prototype was being held, and where the most advanced experiments were taking place. Inside, they found a chilling sight. Rows of large, transparent containment units lined the walls, each holding a monstrous, heavily enhanced Servian slasher. Their bodies were grotesquely mutated, muscles bulging, blades even larger and sharper, and their eyes glowed with an unnatural, intense red. They were clearly far beyond any normal slasher, radiating a raw, untamed power. In the center of the chamber, suspended within a shimmering energy field, was the prototype. It wasn't a slasher, but a massive, humanoid figure, easily twice the size of a normal Servian. Its skin was a mottled gray, scarred with numerous surgical incisions, and its limbs were disproportionately long, ending in wicked claws. Its head was encased in a metallic helmet, obscuring its face, but Vincent could feel an immense, chaotic energy radiating from it. A mixture of raw power, profound fear, and a terrifying, destructive intent. The prototype, Mach rumbled, his voice laced with disgust. They've taken the enhancement process to an extreme. Suddenly, a series of alarms blared through the chamber. Warden scientists and security personnel, realizing their complex had been breached, scurried to activate more defenses. Among them was a tall, gaunt figure with a cold, calculating demeanor. The high-ranking warden operative, whose voice Vincent recognized from the captured recording. Enforcers. The operative sneered, his voice amplified by the chamber's speakers. You're too late. The prototype is almost complete. Once it's unleashed, nothing will stop the new order. He pressed a button, and the energy field around the prototype intensified. While the containment units holding the enhanced slashers began to open, the slashers roared, their red eyes fixed on Vincent and Mock. Eager to engage. Mock, handle the slashers, Vincent commanded, his mind racing. I'm going for the prototype and the operative, Mock roared in response, charging towards the emerging slashers, his massive form a blur of protective fury. Vincent, meanwhile, dodged a laser blast from a warden guard and sprinted towards the central console controlling the prototype's containment field. The warden operative, seeing Vincent's intent, began firing a plasma pistol, forcing Vincent to weave and dodge. Vincent returned fire with his magnum, but the operative was nimble, retreating behind a reinforced barrier. You won't stop us, human, the operative taunted, his voice filled with fanaticism. The void will consume you all. Vincent ignored him, focusing on the console. His fingers flew across the alien interface, his mind processing the complex energy signatures of the containment field. He could feel the prototype's chaotic energy pulsing, threatening to overwhelm the field. He had to disable it, or at least stabilize it, before it could be unleashed. Suddenly, a massive enhanced slasher broke through Mac's defense. Lunging towards Vincent, Vincent reacted instinctively, rolling under its bladed arm and firing his magnum directly into its glowing red eye. The slasher roared in pain and collapsed. But more were coming. Vincent, hurry! Mock roared, locked in a brutal melee with multiple slashers. Vincent found the core frequency of the prototype's containment field. It was unstable, on the verge of overloading. He quickly rerouted the energy, trying to balance the fluctuating power levels. As he worked, he could feel the prototype's raw, destructive intent, almost as if it was a living entity screaming for release. It was pure, unadulterated rage and chaos. Just as he managed to stabilize the field, the warden operative, having circled around, appeared beside him, a wicked energy blade manifesting in his hand. He swung it down with lethal intent. Vincent barely managed to block the blow with his armored arm, the energy blade searing against his forearm. He stumbled back, the operative pressing his attack. This was no ordinary warden. This was a highly skilled combatant, perhaps even enhanced himself. You've interfered for too long, human, the operative snarled, his eyes blazing with fanaticism. Now, you will witness the dawn of true chaos. Vincent knew he was in a fight for his life. He needed to defeat this operative and secure the prototype before it could be weaponized. He sensed the operative's cold resolve, his unwavering belief in the warden's cause, but also a flicker of desperation beneath it. He had to exploit that weakness. Vincent dodged the energy blade, the searing heat brushing his cheek. He quickly holstered his magnum, knowing a direct bullet might not be enough against this fanatic. Instead, he pulled out a stun grenade, activating its timer and tossing it towards the warden operative. The operative, focused on his attack, didn't notice the grenade until it detonated with a flash and a bang. He staggered back, disoriented, his energy blade flickering. Vincent seized the opportunity, rushing forward and delivering a powerful, precise kick to the operative's knee. The warden cried out, his leg buckling, and he fell to the ground. Vincent quickly followed up, disarming the operative and pinning him. Who are you? What is this prototype? Vincent demanded, his voice a low growl. his eyes fixed on the operative's face. He felt the man's pain, his anger, but also a deep, almost religious conviction that made him dangerous. "You fool," the operative spat, struggling against Vincent's grip. "You can't stop the inevitable. The void will cleanse this galaxy of its weakness. This prototype is merely the beginning of the true awakening." Mach, having cleared the immediate area of slashers, rushed over, his massive form looming over the operative. "Tell us what you know," Mach rumbled, his voice laced with menace. The operative only laughed. A chilling, guttural sound. "You'll never understand. You're too blind, too tied to your pathetic sense of order." Vincent felt a sudden, sharp surge of pain from the operative. He realized what was happening, just like the Servian tinkerer. This fanatic was activating a poison pill. "He's taking a suicide pill," Vincent shouted, looking at Mach. Mach quickly clamped a hand over the operative's mouth. But it was too late. The operative's eyes rolled back, his body convulsing for a brief moment before going limp. "Damn it," Vincent cursed, frustrated. They had lost another source of information. Mach sighed, his shoulders slumping slightly. "They are fanatics, Vincent. They would rather die than betray their cause." Vincent looked at the prototype, still suspended in its energy field. It pulsed with chaotic energy, a terrifying testament to the Warden's dark ambitions. "We need to secure this, get it out of here, and we need to find out what they meant by true awakening." The enforcer teams, having cleared the rest of the complex, began the meticulous process of securing the chamber. The enhanced slashers, once the field was stabilized and their command structure broken, were contained. Scientists began to analyze the prototype, careful not to trigger any unforeseen reactions. Back at Enforcer headquarters, the prototype was moved to a high-security containment facility. Preliminary scans revealed it was not a fully sentient being, but a heavily modified biological weapon. Essentially a living emotional amplifier designed to project amplified discord and fear on a massive scale. Its purpose was to bypass the nullifier by overwhelming populations with raw, primal fear. "It's a last resort," Xylan concluded after receiving the initial reports. "A crude, brutal weapon designed to compensate for the loss of their subtle whispers. It represents their desperation." Vincent spent days with the Enforcer scientists, meticulously analyzing the prototype's biological and energetic signatures. He used his empathic abilities to feel its intended function, mapping its destructive potential. He discovered that the prototype's core was a specialized organ designed to resonate directly with the lower brain functions of sentient beings, triggering primal fear responses and overriding rational thought. It was the ultimate weapon of mass psychological destruction. If this had been fully deployed, Vincent explained to Xylan, his voice grim, it could have plunged entire systems into uncontrolled pandemonium, mass riots, self-destructive behavior, complete societal collapse. It wouldn't just influence, it would dominate. His investigation also uncovered data logs detailing the Warden's efforts to stabilize and control the prototype. They had struggled, as its chaotic energy was almost uncontrollable, even for them. The deceased operative had mentioned it being almost complete, implying they hadn't quite mastered its activation. This gave the Enforcers a crucial advantage. They had captured the weapon before it was fully operational. "What do we do with it?" Mach asked, looking at the prototype in its containment field, its monstrous form still radiating a faint, unsettling aura. Vincent paused. "We can't destroy it. Its energy could destabilize the entire facility, but we can't let it remain a threat. We need to neutralize its destructive potential without destroying it." He proposed a daring plan: to use the harmony signal, the same frequency that had liberated the worms, to neutralize the prototype's destructive core. It was a risky endeavor, as the prototype's energy signature was far more powerful and chaotic than that of the worms. But Vincent believed it was possible. Xylan considered the plan carefully, weighing the risks. It is unorthodox, Vincent, but then, so are your methods. If you believe it can be done, then I will authorize it. The team of Enforcer bioengineers and energy specialists, guided by Vincent's insights and empathic connection, began the delicate operation to neutralize the prototype. The containment facility was placed on maximum lockdown, and all non-essential personnel were evacuated. The atmosphere was tense, a mixture of scientific curiosity and profound apprehension. Vincent, standing beside Xylan and Mach, observed the intricate process. The harmony signal, adapted and amplified, was slowly introduced into the prototype's containment field. The monstrosity within twitched, its chaotic energy flaring in resistance, causing minor fluctuations in the surrounding energy grid. Vincent could feel its primal fear, its confusion, as the external influence it was designed to project was being countered. The prototype is resisting the frequency, one of the lead engineers announced, his voice tight with concentration. Energy output is spiking. We need to stabilize it, or it could rupture the containment field. Vincent, sensing the prototype's struggle, stepped forward. Increase the harmony signal by 2%. Focus the modulation on the core emotional resonance. The engineers, trusting Vincent's unique connection to the prototype's inner workings, followed his command. Slowly, the energy spikes began to subside. The prototype's form, once writhing with destructive intent, slowly began to relax, its chaotic aura dimming. The red glow in its obscured head faded, replaced by a dull, almost peaceful gray. It's working, an engineer whispered, relief flooding his voice. The core resonance is neutralizing. Its destructive potential is being diffused. The process took hours, but eventually, the prototype lay dormant within its field, no longer a weapon of mass psychological destruction, but a grotesque, inert monument to Warden folly. The facility breathed a collective sigh of relief. Remarkable, Vincent, Xylan said, his ancient eyes fixed on the now pacified prototype. You have not only disarmed a formidable weapon, but you have also demonstrated the true potential of our harmony technology. This will revolutionize our approach to psychological warfare. With the prototype secured, the Enforcer's efforts to dismantle the remaining Warden cells intensified. Vincent continued to be an invaluable asset. His ability to sense their disorientation and predict their desperate maneuvers, leading to countless successful raids and apprehensions. The fragmented remnants of the Wardens, stripped of their leadership and their most potent tools, were systematically rooted out across the galaxy. The war finally wound down, not with a single, dramatic battle, but with a series of smaller, decisive victories. The galaxy, having lived under the subtle shadow of the Void Whisperers and the overt threat of the Wardens for so long, slowly began to exhale. Peace, true peace, began to spread. Vincent, however, knew that the fight was far from over. The Void Whisperers were still an ancient, primal force. They were merely dormant, their influence temporarily neutralized by the harmony signal. He understood that eternal vigilance would be required. His role, now more than ever, was to be a guardian of harmony, an emotional compass for the galaxy. He spent his days training new Enforcer recruits in the subtle art of emotional detection and psychological resilience, teaching them how to recognize the nascent whispers of discord before they could escalate. He emphasized understanding, empathy, and connection as the ultimate defense against the Whisperer's divisive influence. His relationship with Mach deepened, becoming a bond of unwavering trust and camaraderie. Mach, always the stoic protector, became Vincent's rock. His quiet strength a constant support in the face of daunting challenges. They often spoke of Cassius, Mac's father, and the legacy of true guardianship. Vincent also continued his personal journey of healing, while the memories of his past were now fully restored. The trauma lingered. He sought out the Yervesh he had saved from the experimental facility, helping them to recover from their ordeal and reintegrate into society. He found solace in helping others, turning his own suffering into a catalyst for compassion. One day, while meditating on the harmony signal, Vincent realized something profound. The signal wasn't just a counterfrequency. It was a reflection of universal balance, an echo of the inherent order that the Void Whisperers sought to disrupt. If the galaxy could learn to resonate with that harmony, to live in true empathy and understanding, then the Whisperers' influence would be permanently stifled, not just temporarily suppressed. This became his ultimate vision, not just to defeat the enemies, but to build a galaxy so steeped in harmony that discord had no place to take root. It was an ambitious, perhaps impossible, dream, but Vincent, the human who had lost everything and found himself again in the vastness of space, was determined to try. He knew his journey was far from over. It was a journey of eternal guardianship, of protecting the fragile harmony of the cosmos, one whisper at a time.